about this Utah's front measure up to any you've seen pretty much this year?
Yeah, our prize for having a good game against Stanford is to play another really good team. These guys all over the defense are very active, play really hard, have a lot of talent. I haven't seen them on offense, but I know our offense has a big challenge ahead of it.
Got up against some tough fronts, Michigan State, Washington, Stanford, and now Utah. What do they do differently than from what you've seen this year?
These guys play as hard as anybody we've played. I think, I've said we've played some of the most elite defenses in the country, in my opinion, with Michigan State, Stanford, Washington, UCLA, and these guys are, probably near the top of that list. Got some dominant pass rushers, some really stout guys in the middle, and some second-level guys that really run and hit. So they're a really good team.
I talked to Gary Campbell about this, but based on their front seven, do you see running backs blocking more?
Well, our running backs block when they're called to and run it when they're called to. We'll scheme them up the best we can and try to put our guys in positions. I thought when the running backs did block last week, they did an unbelievable job. Byron led the way for Marcus's one touchdown. Charles coming out of the backfield had some great blocks. Royce had a great block. So those guys can be a force for us, not just with the ball in their hands, but in other ways.
They have three guys with three double-digit numbers for Austin. Those have three guys with double-digit sacks. Similar to Washington. Are they as aggressive as Washington?
I think they might even be more aggressive than Washington. They got a pass rusher a lot like Washington's. Orchard is a special player. They do a great job of letting their guys, pin their ears back and get in a track stance and come off the ball. And they stop the run while doing that, and they get a big-time jump on pass rush. So hopefully our O-line's up to the challenge, and we'll do what we have to try to move the ball.
Are you concerned at all about playing in potentially sub-40-degree weather with maybe something?
That's on a case-by-case basis. Dwayne Stanford's from Cleveland, so he'll probably feel right at home. Marcus is from a little balmier place, so listen, it's not supposed to be too cold up there. I've seen the forecast, and our kids will be able to play in whatever weather we show up in.
I know that Thomas breaking tackles has been something that Gary Campbell's been talking about all season, and he just said that he thought it was the best he's done in that regard, the best Thomas has done in that regard maybe since he's been here. Do you feel the same way? And with a player like him, is it just a mental thing to have that kind of attitude in the game?
No, I think Thomas had his best game. He looked like he was shot out of a cannon a couple times. Each back has their own style. I think he's learned the last few weeks especially that he doesn't have to be the jitterbug, the Michael James type, and make three guys miss before he gets his yards. If he hits it downhill and runs at his top speed and just makes a guy get on his edge and just miss him, he's strong enough to break tackles. So I love the style of running that he's been using.
What about that spin move? What do you think of that?
It's like the circle button on PlayStation, right? Listen, Stanford's defense, one of the reasons that they're so good is they don't give up big plays and they don't miss tackles. I think their staff does an unbelievable job of teaching tackling and pursuit to the ball. We haven't gotten those big plays and broken tackles for long touchdowns in the past, and this year we did, and Thomas's was obviously a big play for us.
Is it often a challenge sometimes as a coach to get a guy that fast to accept that he also can be a power guy?
Thomas is strong. Thomas is everything you want in a back. Elite speed, really good size, exceptional power, exceptional hands coming out of the backfield. So he's starting to put it all together, and with him and Royce and Thomas, or Byron, we feel like we got three really good guys.
But sometimes you were saying how he figured out he doesn't have to make people miss and to get his yard, he can just get going like Sean McCann, use that power. But sometimes you get fast guys and recognize that they can be the power guy too.
Yeah, I think maybe sometimes in high school when you're really fast and you're faster than everybody else on the field, you can run to the outside more. You can dance a little bit more because people can't catch you. At this level, and especially the level after this, everybody's fast. So then when you get a little gap, you better take it and accelerate.
What do you think the key to that was, Scott? What did the light go on? How do you just seem to get it?
I think Coach Campbell did an unbelievable job communicating with those two, especially Byron and Thomas and Royce. Really about the same time our O-line took it as a challenge to get the run game going. Those guys really stepped up too. The way they've been hitting holes in the last 4 or 5 games ever since UCLA has been different. And we need to keep doing that. We got a long way to go here, and some really good teams to play. So the line blocking the way they are and the backs running the way they are is going to give us a chance.
You talk about how aggressive Utah is. Can you use that against them, maybe with the screen game?
There's ways to try to move their cheese a little bit. They just play hard. Teams don't hit big plays on them because even though some guys are really aggressive, they got a lot of guys running to the ball behind it. So they do a good job of limiting plays. Arizona State moved the ball on them really well last week, but just couldn't score many points, and that speaks to how good a red zone defense they have too.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.